Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is In Our Community. My name is Bill Bascom. I'm very fortunate tonight to have an author and a poet who describes himself as a creative menace. Please welcome Brian Kraker to our show.
Thank you, Bill.
Brian, could you tell me a little bit about yourself? How did you get inspired to write short stories and poetry?
Well, had a lot of things go on in my life and tried to put them in perspective. And so I just did a lot of journaling, and from there kind of gave structure to that and took parts of it. And it kind of became like this prose. From there became structured poetry, and now moved on to more advanced kind of wordplay, almost like hip-hop slam style.
Do you like writing novels, or do you really want to stick to a certain genre?
Novels, not really. I'm more interested in character development and actual like human interaction and their emotions and the way that they kind of work within society psychologically.
Do you write about things that have happened in your past, things you've seen in your past, or more current?
Current events, yeah, things that happen. I don't really like talking about myself personally, even though the first thing that I'll be sharing is called self-representation, but it's more about people, unity, and nature, and just things improving. That's really what's in.
So you have a positive outlook in your writing then?
It's getting there, yeah. It's kind of gone through a process.
So you'll be sharing with us several short stories or poems tonight. Is there a general theme?
More poems there. The theme is kind of nature and technology for some of them. Others are a little darker, and those were when I was younger I wrote those. And then some are kind of influenced by friends of mine who've gone through a lot of hardship and experiences where they kind of had to learn and grow.
Okay, great, very interesting. As you introduce your first poem, could you give us a little background on it?
It's basically very quick, and it's kind of simple. It's just what inspires me, and what I'm more. I'll just share it. I mean,
okay,
yeah.
You might as well start out with a nice simple one. Go ahead. I look forward to it.
So this is called self-representation. Let go of fear, embrace the DIY. How many E equals MC squares want to be rich? I will never be rich. I am Brian. Rich was my neighbor. I seek nothing except expanding love and unity. Give me the fortune, keep the fame. Am I broken or just crazy to choose to be a serial lover? To slow the state of hate? What I do is necessary, and I wish we do it together.
Yeah, very good. Okay, thanks, Brian. And so that's really about people being satisfied with their existing conditions. Is that kind of the theme of that poem?
Basically, it's like I've come to have this motto for this year of lower your expectations, raise your standards. And so, you know, you don't expect too much, and, you know, have this idea of instant gratification, but at the same time, you don't want to just limit yourself and be stuck.
Yeah, that's good. That's good advice for everyone. And so, I mean, that's very uplifting and kind of motivational. What other types of poems do you write, and short stories? Are they all along that type of?
They're not all along that. I mean, there's some really, really dark ones, and I don't really limit myself in the writing or the subject matter. Kind of goes in the different moods or different kind of states I'm in. I have, for instance, I got this journal that had different emotions. They had like blue pages, and then the red pages were about anger and rage, and then the purple ones were about pleasure and enjoyment, and green was more about creativity. So that is it. I wrote just about everything in that. There were a couple short stories that I wrote in there. Those are more kind of more taboo. Kind of, I have this sense of that in the Western world we have a lack of rites of passages, and so there's this kind of missing element, and that's what causes a lot of the angst within people.
Are you saying that people need to express themselves and
not just express themselves, but actually kind of go through almost like a trial or some kind of next step to adulthood, and where they sort of in tribal culture, they leave the tribe and they find their own way, and if they don't find their own way, then that's it. It's kind of survival of the fittest in a way. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's wonderful. That's interesting. Okay. So your first poem was about people then accepting the way things are, and then we talked about people being pushed to the next step, kind of, and so when you write your poetry, are you motivated by things that happen throughout the day? I mean, you said you have different colors of pages that you write. Do you have green days and blue days and
things that happen out the day? It's more of a kind of universal sense and more worldly than personal. And so yeah, like large events and big things, like for 10 years of the 2000, I called it, I had a whole thing that I wrote, kind of like a book of poetry called 60 Candles for a Gloomy Decade, because I saw it was kind of a downer decade for a lot of people. So, but I tried to make it more uplifting.
Okay, great. Well, let's go ahead with your second poem.
Okay. This one was written when I was younger, and it has a more hardcore kind of youthful, I call it the angry young and poor era. So it's called Static Addict. My life sucks. I feel stuck. Give me some bucks, give me some bucks, give me some bucks, give me some bucks to make me feel happy. Money, temporary cure. Money, the solution. Money, the reason to live. Money, don't you know that happiness can't be bought? My life stinks. Gotta see a shrink. Give me a pill, give me a pill, give me a pill, give me a pill. To make me feel cheerful. Drugs. The quick fix. Drugs. The easy answer. Drugs. The demon inside. Drugs. Don't you know you can't escape reality? I'm bored. Haven't scored. Give me some head. Give me some head. Give me some head. Give me some head. To give me an ego boost. One night stands, a dangerous game. One night stands, prolonged pain. One night stands, compulsive ruin. Don't you know that no one will love you until you love yourself? That's it. Thanks.
All right, very good. I see a theme going then. It's about kind of self-motivation and people feeling good about themselves.
Well, Static Addict is more about, people being in a certain state, and then they say, oh, well, have this. This will help you. When in actuality, all they really need is just kind of almost self-awareness and doing it themselves. I'm really about DIY or do-it-yourself, and creating your own way and finding your own path.
Yeah, very good. It's inspirational. Now, you talked about big events that you like to be a part of. Do you participate in big events? Or?
Yeah. Well, I participated in Burning Man. This is where I got this hat, and I shared some of the poems, and I could show you an example. I gave this one out, and I will share this one later on. It's called Ghost Town Necropolis, and basically I gave these out because they have a gift culture, and it's just free hand and then the illustration. And so you kind of give life to the words in a way. It's not very good art, but
it's self-expression now. Yeah, very
So.
good. Okay, do you want to then deliver your next poem? I can
do
hold that
yeah.
if you'd like.
I'll just put that.
Very good, thanks, Brian.
Okay, this one's called When Nature Calls, and it's not about that. When nature calls, screaming trees amongst the towers, running water flows over streaming video. Feed the wildlife inside the soul of technology. Illuminated paradise surrounded by natural beauty. Vegetation will outlive the vegetated, injecting nature's gifts with man-made strength. Nature calls when balance is imperative. Boulders dance to the sound of jackhammers. Oceans howl from the well that bleeds. Pirates watch their booty with satellites. Ripened fruits of labor, earned, not given. Toads croak in the moonlit silhouette of industry. Pipes bellow plumes of imagination as mystics gather. A refreshing mist cools the overheated machines. Wake up from the morning of the golden promise. When nature calls, answer to no one except your heart. That's called When Nature Calls.
Very nice. It's more good advice, and I can see how you're working in nature and technology, as you mentioned. How did you get the thought of joining the two ideas of nature and technology?
Well, I've always seen them. They kind of need each other to exist. You know, technology is a way for evolution to advance, but you also need nature as resources, as the parts to make evolution further. And I just like the way that they kind of blend together.
When you write short stories, do you involve nature and technology and then develop characters along those lines as well?
The short stories are not as abstract. They're more, like I was saying, about the emotions and the characters' psychological states, and kind of really getting deep inside. And they're a lot more. They're definitely darker.
Did you develop deep into the characters then in the short stories, or what are the characters like?
Well, that's the thing. Like these short stories, they have just one. They have almost like one scene or one scenario, and it's just this almost like survival and battle between two. Can it be for? There can be two people, or there can be four people, but it's always this like struggle that they have to overcome.
Are they typically struggling with technology or with nature, or both?
Well, they're struggling with human, basically human. Like I guess they're struggling with maniacs and like really kind of very sadistic people. They have to, endure extreme torture.
Really? So the short story is a little darker than the poetry?
Oh, yeah, it gets to a more very brutal, kind of raw, visceral.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of glad you're sharing the poetry with us tonight then.
Yeah,
with that, why don't you let us hear your next poem?
Okay. This one is called Rail Code. Rhyming on the Underground Railroad, where tyrants dare to venture, capitalists share information, superhighways congested with pop-up clownfish for data of the desperate, sharing their lives with the virtual spectator. Dirty laundered digits on plastic debt, collectors hoarding the bank of knowledge. Youth genocide covered up by suicidal disguise. Hanging on the edge of reality-edited life. Invested visions projected to the mystic eye pledge allegiance to the guardians of the gateways of question and facts. In a maze twisting of distractions to entertain and pleasure the social network. Rail code.
Yeah, very interesting. So I like your selection of poems. I think you are kind of showing us a preview of your short stories a little bit there. Was that about social networking to some extent?
Not necessarily. Some of it is, but it's more. I know a lot of people like social networking. I've done it before, early on, but now I think it's almost infiltrating people's, definitely people's privacy and basically trying to gather information for whose purpose, I don't know. But as far as like, I think you're saying about the youth genocide covered up by suicidal disguise, that is a person very close, and I think that it's definitely the reason it's called rail code is because it is coded, and if you can figure out the code, then there's the.
Okay, so how do you distribute your work? Is it do you use social networking, or do you?
Basically, what I do is no, I don't use social networking. Pretty much all this stuff isn't anywhere digitally. It is because I type it, but as far as distributing it, it's all word of mouth or just handing it out like sheets of paper and giving it out and Xeroxing it. That's a big thing. Just copying it and giving it out that way rather than just putting it online and saying, oh, here, look at this. I like to interact with people face to face rather than just try to preach to the masses.
So you like a kind of a retro way of distributing the work, or an alternative method?
Yeah, somebody was telling me tonight that that's how a lot of the old early rock bands, they would take lyrics and they would do illustrations and stuff around them, and they would distribute their work that way. Okay, and kind of beat writers.
Oh, very interesting. Okay, well, I think that leads us into your
another
next poem.
One. Okay.
Yes, please.
This one is definitely more darker, and it's kind of robotic. Hopefully, I can get it right. It's called Floating By. It can either be B-U-Y or B-Y-E. Either way. She's doing all she can to pay the bills, giving birth a thrill but not a lay. She's inside the digital cage, spending her youth for pleasure's a burden, giving her mind a lay to waste, riding the highs of popularities of yesterday. Inside a psychological cemetery, she lost her soul. She lost her soul. She lost her soul. She gave up her goals, fell under its control. She lost her soul. It's early in the morning, she keeps soaring, trying to escape what she hates inside herself. She can't see the beauty that she radiates through others' hearts and minds. Talking to zombies who lust, broken promises, losing trust. Sharing herself for a token to survive. Inside her bones, shiver with fright. She lost her soul. She lost her soul. She lost her soul. She gave up her goals, fell under its control. She lost her soul. Milky stains on the porcelain flesh. Fresh meat once upon a fairy tale turned night terror. She closes her eyes, wishing for a fairy godmother to snatch her away from the game of life. She lost her soul. She lost her soul. She lost her soul. She lost her soul. Fell under its control. Gave up her goals. She lost her soul.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. Very, very good. A lot of passion and emotion in that one. Is that reflective of a person you know? Is that hit close to home?
There's quite a few friends of mine that have kind of had to go into certain areas that they don't really want to go to survive, and yeah, I mean, if it means, you know, you're either going to be on the street and basically, you know, not even just living paycheck to paycheck, but, you know, begging and scavenging for whatever you can find. I mean, you have to do what you have to do to survive. So yeah, this one is definitely more, it's not specifically to anyone specific, but it's to a lot of women who have to go through and fight through being used and abused, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotion behind that. Yeah, it's well delivered. So, what motivates you now? Are you inspired to transform your work, or do you want to continue along the path you're going?
As far as motivation, people motivate me. Improving things motivates me. Wanting to share and get information out there and to expose, any kind of, I guess lies or people trying to deceive other people and, harm people. It's not.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's to share and empower.
Yeah, those are strong goals, and that's impressive. And so, are you inspired by improving society? Then, do you think?
I don't want to change the world, and I know you can't really change the world because evolution is a very slow process. But if I can improve things around me and improve, the people that I interact with, and the best thing I think is people should try to improve themselves first, and then work to better things around them. But as far as like changing the world or trying to control corrupt power or something like that, that's just crazy. That's just it's almost like you're fighting against, that's not a very practical goal. Whereas it's better to, like I said, this stuff's more universal, but as far as like action is more, that's definitely more individualistic.
Yeah, I see that in your poetry so far, where you started out talking about self-confidence and people being in charge of their own destiny. So it definitely shows in your work. And with that, could you deliver your next poem?
That's the one that I showed you of the illustrated edition. It's called Ghost Town Necropolis, and I did give this one out at Burning Man 2010. Metropolis outside the bubble city that manufactures bobbleheads for factories of technology. The boys taught numbers and the girls taught how to manage the boys to keep working for Father Sam and Lady Liberty. The kids wait for sex online of perverted perception, churning out new models to feed their hunger for shiny new gadgets, march penguins to the office of dead imagination. The mouse nibbles away on the wires of the soul in the bleak control room. We gather to escape the rat race, to share a breath of creativity and hope, to turn Metropolis into heaven above and below. The ecstatic movements, actions, and voices inspire love, revolution, now deliver resistance of enforcement. Break the laws of Nevada because we live in a wasteland of abandoned dreams and stripped lands of beauty. What about an agricopolis? Planting Green Man instead of planting chips to listen to the pipes of Pan. Instead of piling the waste of corporate plants. Capitalism is not the enemy. Question is the enemy. Who's in charge of this metropolis?
It's very thought-provoking. There were hints of criticizing materialism a little bit in that work. Was that part of your goal, is to bring forward the negative aspects of materialism?
Well, actually, there's a riddle in there. And there's definitely, some people would call me an anarchist, but I like anarchy, but I know it's like totally, it's idealistic for how it works. And I had this thing where I came up with, what's the riddle for the anarchist to figure out? The riddle for the anarchist to figure out is who's in charge. Okay. So it's kind of fun. It's just kind of, it's almost kind of fun. It's just kind of playful. But yeah, there's definitely there's materialism with the gadgets and the corporate stuff. But it's more, I think it's definitely more about finding a way to, okay, you've got that corporate stuff, but let's find a way to also merge in a more natural kind of organic sense to things. So you blend both, where, you know, because now, I mean, what's happening now is they're saying, oh, let's all go all organic or all green. Well, it doesn't work that way. You need to kind of balance it out. There's always, I think, one of the most important goals is to try to achieve some sort of balance. That's big. That's a very big theme for me, is balance.
Very sensible advice. Yeah, I see that in the poem now. It makes sense. Okay, well, let's quickly move to one more.
Okay, this is the last one then.
Okay.
If unless we need others. So it's called One Day to Pay, and this one's really fast and it goes quick. So I'll just do it 3 times. Overnight success, overnight expression, overnight sensation, overnight cease to exist, overnight compression of data, corrections, intercepted through intersections, against the corrupted bail bondsman, stolen from the next of kin, left to pay for their ancestors' sins. Overnight success, overnight expression, overnight sensation, overnight cease to exist, overnight compression of data, corrections, intercepted through intersections, against the corrupted bail bondsman, stolen from the next of kin, left to pay for their ancestors' sins. Overnight success, overnight expression, overnight sensation, overnight cease to exist, overnight compression of data, corrections, intercepted through intersections, stolen from the next of kin, left to pay for their ancestors' sins. And I did forget one line. I know I make mistakes.
What was the line? Do you want to give?
Against the corrupted bail bondsman for the 3rd one. It's cool.
All right, very good. I like the progression of your work. It all makes sense. Is there any one last parting advice you'd like to give us in terms of your work and the message you're trying to deliver?
Well, I think independent thinking is the most important thing for, you know, any kind of artist or any kind of creative person, because, you know, they say think outside the box, but I think you should think for yourself. And I just want to say thank you for everyone for watching this and being here and crewing, and thanks for interviewing me. I mean, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. It was very enjoyable. And thank you for watching, and thank you to the crew. This has been In Our Community.